Hello there, a very warm welcome to the program. Thank you so much for watching Smart 24 TV, and we do drive your business. My name is Anthony, and you're welcome for another dose of the financial markets. It's a Monday morning, and of course, you're watching the #1 business channel in East and Southern Africa. Now, you can follow the show on Twitter by following Smart 24 TV at Smart 24 TV. That's our handle. And you can follow me as well at Anthony Sabali on Twitter and get to, of course, discuss what's happening in your realm, in your portfolio, and what you think about the current market performances. And of course, we'll keep you updated concerning what is happening on the latest trends. Now, the show is proudly brought to you by Altex East Africa. Altex East Africa is your #1 private stock exchange that is giving you currently under the Zabu initiative a chance to invest in the treasury bonds across East Africa with the use of your mobile money. Now, you can transfer funds off your mobile phone by simply dialing *292#, and following the prompts, you can register and be able to buy or sell those treasury bonds that you're currently holding on the East African market. Markets at Altex open at 8 a.m. and close at 3 p.m. and you can start with as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings to start your journey of investment. With Altex East Africa, we are saying you can do something new. Starting off with the big markets in the United States, the markets wobbled on Friday with big indexes like the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average losing on aggregate for the week. And this is the first time they are losing in the year 2023. That's how bad the week was for the global markets. But also looking at the East African market and the African market in general, Friday closed in a little bit slow trading, especially on the big indices and the big stock exchanges like the Johannesburg Stock Exchange and the Nairobi Stock Exchange here in East Africa. For Uganda's case, and of course we'll start home, always east or west, home is the best. The Uganda Securities Exchange also had a little decline in the volumes as well as in the participants in the market. According to data from the exchange, as per the Friday closure on trades, we had at about a 20.8 trillion market capitalization in the markets here in Uganda. However, we just had one equity out of the 18 listings participate in the day's trading. Now, Friday ended with a total of 4 gainers, good enough, with just 1 loser on the market. Of course, that positively impacted on our all-share index, which is market capitalization weighted. And so depending on, of course, the number of gainers here, the market moved in a positive direction in that line. However, the market performances were not as good, just having 1 equity. That was MTN Uganda trade on Friday. MTN traded at about 539 shares only, and that was all for the Friday tradings. Now, according to data, of course, the Nation Media Group led the gainers on the gainers list with a total of a 2.75% share price appreciation on the market and closed at exactly 438.18 Ugandan shillings. He was followed closely by Centum Investments at a 2.74% appreciation in price, up to a price of 263.79. For Centum, could it be a gain that is sustainable? Over last week, the stock has performed way better compared to what it was like a few weeks ago. And Centum Investments is presenting an offer, at least amongst all the cross listings. Centum has tried to put up a little bit more activity, more aggressiveness on the market, but not much has been witnessed on other cross listings on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, East African Breweries Limited also had their stock appreciate by close to 0.84%, up to a price of 5,268.47 Ugandan shillings. Jubilee Holdings Limited stock as well rose above 0.55% at exactly 5,334.42 Ugandan shillings closing the day. On the losing side, unfortunately, we just had one stock, and that was Equity Bank Limited. And this stock particularly lost 0.22% of their trading price, down to 1,318.95 Ugandan shillings per share. That closed the day there on the Uganda Securities Exchange, and the day didn't have much movement for the domestically listed stocks. Speaking of the big boys like Umeme, they were silent this time around on Friday. Stanbic Bank Uganda was silent, and a couple of other stocks that are traded on the Uganda Securities Exchange. However, MTN could not keep the silence with a total of 5,539 shares that were traded. Now, currently, MTN, remember, is the second most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, and it has a total over about 4.03 trillion market capitalization, representing close to over 19.4% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange equities market. Now, this company currently trades at 180.0 Ugandan shillings, and that price hasn't changed in a while. Since November last year, the stock has been stagnant at 180 shillings per share. MTN significantly came on board in 2021 with their initial public offer, which was electronic, one-of-a-kind IPO, and the company was oversubscribed to, or rather undersubscribed, but the company's stock witnessed an influx of investors, local investors, because many people for the first time would be able to buy shares using their mobile phones. And this was after MTN actually incorporated an SCD registry into a USSD code, that is *165*57#. Now, with these codes, people were able to open accounts, but not only that, they were able in particular to buy MTN stocks. And you saw so many Ugandans getting excited, getting into the stock business, and getting to buy shares for the first time. These were shares that were costing at a total of about 200 shillings per share at the moment. Well, the glory did not last, and around the month of January, when the company was finally trading on the main board of the exchange in 2022, the stock began to decline from consequently about 200 shillings to 190, and 190, and then down to 170, 180, and as low as 160 in the month of March. That was the bottom, the rock bottom for the stock price of MTN stock. Later on, the stock rose to prices at about a 180 average at the moment. And when you look at the stock prices last year, they were averaging at least 175, 185 in the first, third, and fourth quarters of the year 2022. Well, in 2023, MTN seems to have become stagnant a little. Nothing much has been able to change. The volume has still been maintained, but currently the company having about a total of 4.03 trillion market capitalization had a total volume of over close to 23 million shares traded in the last 3 months, making it the third most traded on stock, coming behind Stanbic Bank and Umeme on the market. Now, in terms of issuing dividends, which are very important for you as a shareholder, as an investor, MTN continues to be one of those dedicated companies that issue dividends. Of course, this is evident of their first year of listing. They were able to issue a dividend of 4.7 Ugandan shillings per share for every share that the shareholders held at the company. Of course, this was to the dismay of the new investors who expected probably bigger figures from the company. But comparing, of course, to other stocks that could be in a similar bracket as MTN, well, I think the stock is a very, very promising stock in my case. MTN is a profitable company led currently by Miss Mulinge Sarah, who is the Chief Executive Officer. Miss Mulinge was appointed last year in the month of August and replaced Mr. Wim van Helput, who was the former chairperson, who was the former Chief Executive Officer of the company. This was after he was appointed to become the head of the MTN company in the West African countries, that is Liberia, Sierra Leone, of course taking on a bigger role. But also Ms. Molinge comes in with experience from the Safaricom company, where she has been working for quite some time. Now, if you understand, when we talk about Safaricom, we are talking about the biggest telecommunications company in Kenya, but also the biggest on the stock, the biggest listing on the Nairobi Stock Exchange via market capitalization, and also trading, the most traded on stock on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Now, we hope definitely MTN will also be able to cope and also get to have other telecommunication companies such as Airtel get to list on the exchange. Last year, Airtel Uganda was supposed to be actually joining MTN on the Uganda Securities Exchange, but of course, due to a few technicalities and due to, of course, the market conditions at the moment were not favorable for an initial public offer, the company requested to be given more time, probably this year at the end or in the middle, to prepare itself for this initial public offer, as well as the market getting back to normal there. Now, this of course follows the new regulation under the Uganda Communications Commission. Under this regulation, that is the Uganda Communications Commission Act, amended 2020, it has a provision for all telecommunications companies to at least 20% of their stake on the Uganda Securities Exchange as a law. So, as any law-abiding telecommunications company, it must be listed on the exchange, at least 20% of the stake in the company. That is currently what the law provides for, and we hope definitely this will create more activity on the market, but also enhance growth opportunities for investors who would want to probably diversify their portfolios and also get to generate more money off the stock exchange. Away from MTN Uganda stock, looking at the OSHA index, of course, following many of the gainers, that is the cross listings appreciating in price, the market capitalization OSHA index, which is also the benchmark of performance on the Uganda Securities Exchange, appreciated 1.9 points, which is about 0.16% upwards to close at 1,211.28 Ugandan shillings. Now, this currently comes to represent a 1-week loss of about 0.03% and a 4-week loss of 0.68% and an overall year-to-date loss of 0.11% on the market. The USE local company index, however, also maintained its value at exactly 274.10 points on the market, making it a 4-week gain of close to 0.44% and an overall year-to-date gain of about 0.52%. In my view, I think 2023 is absolutely a year of opportunity. Yes, we're still taking few slow steps, but at least it's in the positive direction, because you look at this index and compare it to just the month of December, how much the index lost in December. It's unimaginable. It's unimaginable. Looking at, for example, now currently we're having 1-week gains on the local company index, tracking the top domestic stocks, and the year-to-date gain on the same index, and the OSHA index is only having a loss of just about 0.03% in a week. I think we're on a journey to recovery, and definitely we hope for a better year in 2023. We are about to close the month and about to rather close the financial year, looking at, of course, March, as companies start to close their financial years. And that means a lot for the shareholders. That means a lot for you and me, enthusiasts in investments in these, especially the stocks, because then we shall see how these companies have been able to perform. That will inform, of course, decisions of whether to issue dividends or not. That will inform you whether to change change in your portfolio and change a few things here and there, which sectors are going to work for you in the next coming financial year. And of course, as we also get into the budget season, that of course determines where government is putting priority and where investments could actually be returning a lot this year. So as an investor, keep your hands on deck and all fingers crossed, and get ready for a bull market very soon. Hopefully that will come through, as we have seen on the cryptocurrency world there. Now, away from the Uganda Securities Exchange, but before we go, Uganda Securities Exchange in summary had 539 shares only recorded by MTN, and about 97,000 Ugandan shillings market turnover on the market, and 20.8 Ugandan shillings, trillion Ugandan shillings is the current market capitalization of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange. I'm moving to Nairobi swiftly here. Nairobi had a fairly not a very good day comparing, of course, with the previous day of trading. Now, last Friday, as we wound up the week on the Nairobi market, we had 42 listings participate in trading, a quite narrow number comparing to the week's average of about 45 companies trading on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Now, the market capitalization of Kenya was maintained at 2 trillion Kenyan shillings there. And amongst the top movers here, we had Equity Group Holdings pulling off a 1.77 million shares volume, but Safaricom coming ahead with 4.67 million shares. That's what recorded on the Safaricom stock on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. As per the 42 companies that were able to participate, these were the biggest movers of the day. As well, Diamond Trust Bank came in with a total of close to 276,600 shares. Diamond Trust Bank is also one of those active stocks on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and investors looking for gains and market activity can also be able to check it out. KCB Group had 214,700 shares as well on the market. The day's trading ended fortunately with 20 gainers and 14 losers on the market. Express Kenya this time around led the gainers with close to 9.09% share price appreciation for the day, closing the day at exactly 4.8 Kenyan shillings per share. He was followed by Williamson Tea Kenya at a 6.25% gain, and after we had also the Sasini Tea and Coffee at a 4.88% gain, and the losing side had Samia Africa come at the bottom of the market. Samia Africa lost a 7.26% share price down to a 2.3 Kenyan shillings per share. Now, Nation Media Group also had a 3.9% depreciation in price, down to a price of 2.6 Kenyan shillings, and Unga Group as well lost 3.7%, and Nairobi Securities Exchange about 2.43%. Now, regarding the benchmark indices, the benchmark index, that is the all-share index, shed off 0.37%, 0.37 points, which was a 0.29% loss, down to about 128.25 points on the market, and closed at a loss of 0.77% on a weekly basis. And on a 4-week performance basis, we have a 4.05% gain on the market. Overall, the year-to-date gain is 4.05% on the all-share index. So relatively speaking, last week was a little downturn for Nairobi Securities Exchange on average, but generally speaking, 2023 is so far looking good on Nairobi Securities Exchange. Comparing what we had last year at the close on Nairobi Securities Exchange, and in the middle with disruptions from the elections, we definitely have a lot of hope in this market. However, of course, Nairobi is still struggling with the departure of many foreign investors. That, of course, calls for more local investment, and this is where we call upon you, dear viewers, to be able to invest in our markets and get our markets moving, because markets are made by investors. Without investors, the markets are nothing. Our companies are nothing without you as an investor. And to invest, you don't need to be a multi-billionaire or a millionaire. You just need to be willing to put money aside and get to dedicate your money to investment, especially the money you're saving. You're not using your daily income, you're using your savings. That's the kicker here. Now, at the moment, also the NSE 20 did perform poorly with a loss of 0.24% on Friday, and the NSE 25 lost a much smaller value, but still lost a 0.06% on their on the index there on the Nairobi Securities Exchange top 25 companies. As for volumes, there was an improvement, however, of about 86% and 106% improvement in the turnover and a 2% improvement in the number of deals. That was the good side of the market there, which turned out to have a total turnover of 267.5 million Kenyan shillings and an 8.2 million volumes that were traded on the market. At the moment, Nairobi Securities Exchange remains the busiest market and the key to integration of the capital markets here in East Africa. Remember, there is a drive that is going to be funded by the African Development Bank, and this drive is going to be aimed at the integration of our market into one. Think about the beauty of that. Being able to invest across East Africa with no boundaries, no borders, no involved tariffs or any other hurdles, and being able to seamlessly go through the process of investment without any hurdles. That is the goal of the African Development Bank, which is funding this project. Well, Nairobi remains one of those key stakeholders in this, of course, because being the busiest and oldest securities exchange in East Africa, it has a very huge say in this. And how I pray that this comes through the acceptance of Nairobi Securities Exchange to be part of this integration. Now, generally speaking, across Africa, we had Zimbabwe Stock Exchange appreciate 313.34 points on their benchmark index, a 1.06% notch higher. You can check out that Zimbabwean Stock Exchange, very great exchange with a range of companies to invest in. Nigeria Stock Exchange, on the other hand, lost 32 points on their all-share index, which was a 0.06% loss. Looking at Nairobi, we lost 0.37%, and then Johannesburg Stock Exchange, the biggest stock exchange in Africa, also lost about 1.29%, and that was about 1,000 points on their benchmark index, the J203, and Ghana Stock Exchange lost 4.08 points on the exchange. Generally, those are the big stock exchange market performances. You can check out more at AFX Stock Exchange Africa for more information on the different stock exchanges in Africa. Now, let's get to cross over to the US and get to have a look at what Friday looked like for the US trading. Of course, last week, the last couple of weeks, 2 weeks in particular, have been very, very busy on Wall Street, as we, of course, first of all witnessed the earnings from different companies being announced for the fourth quarter of 2022, but also Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank, has been on top of the headlines last week and the other week, and that, of course, had a lot of influence on the stock markets there on Friday. Now, the moves Friday came after shocks were ended, of course, lower at Thursday, reversing earlier gains from the day's trading session as traders passed through more corporate earnings and economic data. Generally speaking, the US stocks wobbled on Friday, closing a volatile session with mixed results, while all three indexes ended the week with losses for the first time in the year. The S&P 500 lost 0.5%, and this tracks the top 500 American companies, and recovering losses from earlier in the session. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ticked up by 0.5%, and contracts on the technology-heavy Nasdaq Composite slid by 0.6% as well, and the index suffered through its worst week of 2023. The benchmark 10-year US Treasury note yield ticked up 3.74%, and the dollar index ticked up about 0.2% at a trade of $103.4 US. That's it, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name is Anthony. Remember to check out Alltex East Africa, your #1 private stock exchange. They give you treasury bonds across East Africa with a simple dial of a number, *292#, and definitely you will slide into the market trading of the East African Treasury bond markets. Alltex East Africa opens their market at exactly 15 minutes past 8 a.m. and closes at 15 minutes past 3 p.m. East African Standard Time. And remember also, they are regulated by the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda, which is a body that regulates capital markets trading in Uganda. With Alltex, we are saying you can do something new, because no one anywhere in East Africa is giving you this opportunity with as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings to invest in bonds across East Africa. Zabu, my money, my future, do something new. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you a very good week. We have just started the week, and definitely we have a lot of hope in this week. Get to save and invest. Thank you so much for joining me. More to come on Smart 24 TV. Stay tuned. Bye for now.